realize that the preferred course of action from the government of Canada is violence over peace.
What's the most meaningful thing Canadians can do who aren't in Ottawa to help plead your cause at this juncture?
I would, you know what the most meaningful thing people can do is learn the Charter of Rights backwards and forwards. Understand what's inside it. And if you don't have a copy, Google it or look inside your passport. I'm pretty sure it's written on the inside. Start exercising your charter rights. Do it today. I don't wear a mask. I haven't worn a mask since the spring because I read the science. I understand the science. A virus is 3 microns. A mask, the holes are 60. It's like kicking a fly through a field goal. And I know that in the mainstream media world, the soundbite will be that Tom is an anti-masker. Yes, I'll wear a mask when it makes sense, if it made sense. But all the scientific journals that I've read say it doesn't make sense. All the doctors I've talked to, the vaccinologists, Dr. Byron Bridle, say it doesn't make sense. That's the science I listen to, not the political science, the actual medical science.
You mentioned speaking to the OPP liaison as recently as this morning. In your conversations with police, has there been any discussion about whether there's an amnesty granted to those leaving peacefully today, or has that topic come up in your conversation about arrests after the fact, arrests today?
Not directly with the police. They haven't indicated to me one way or another, but I have been told that it's a bit of a catch and release operation where they're taking people to the edge of the city and releasing them outside of the downtown core. That's what I've been told.
Most of the other organizers have been arrested and charged now. Are you facing arrest?
I asked yesterday if I asked the OPP liaison team if there was an actual arrest or a warrant for my arrest, and they said not to their knowledge. But you know, today's Saturday. I don't know. That was Friday, or is this today Sunday? I don't even know what day it is anymore. But it's starting to be Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
The Americans are asking that in the United States, every elected official must be licensed, bonded, and insured. From school boards to governors, the license is their oath of office. In the United States, they've started to go after the bonds, and they're winning. Is there a similar type of thing here in Canada?
You'd have to ask a lawyer. That's a good question. I'd love to see the results of that question, but I don't know. And
they are winning in the United States,
yeah.
So maybe we should be going after them through the Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
Yeah, I don't have any answer for that. There was a question over here.
Yeah, just a follow-up. So when all the truckers who are here are getting in their trucks and leaving,
yeah,
you said that you want them to go home. So are
no, I'm not going to tell them where to go. We have places for them to go as an intermediate point where they can rest, refuel, and you know, say goodbye to friends or say what's next.
But are you wanting to see, or specifically not wanting to see, other blockades form at other points in the country?
I think as a grassroots movement, we will. For example, we had no communication, no contact with what was happening in any of the grassroots movements across Canada. You know, Niagara Falls, Fort Erie, Windsor, all across the Canada, all these grassroots movement popped up. You could say that we inspired people to actually take action, but we certainly were not giving any direction. These movements are just organic. They pop up where people want to get up and do something because they're fed up after 2 years of being treated like this. So we are not directing anyone to go specifically to any one place and to take any action. We are simply peacefully withdrawing from this area because we don't believe that there's anything that can be gained by being a human punching bag for the police or being arrested or having their property seized or destroyed. So we're just going to regroup and figure out what's next. Maybe it's the court action. that we're going to be launching. Maybe it's actually more grassroots movements.
One more question. The
Yeah.
Americans are saying that they've read over the emergency declaration,
Mhm.
and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms is supposed to survive the emergency declaration, which means the free movement of a Canadian citizen anywhere in the country without any obstruction whatsoever. How can the police justify this militaristic state where they're actually barring people from coming into Ottawa?
Well, you know, it's a good question, and you're referring to Section 6 of the Charter. I've read it, as every Canadian should be reading it today. You know, it's curious. They've given themselves political cover and protections under this emergency order, which do not apply to us here in Ottawa. Maybe there was a case to be made that they applied somewhere else, but they don't apply to us here in Ottawa. But I find it very interesting that at the federal level, the federal MPs did not go to work yesterday and actually start debating the actual legality or the improper use of the Emergency Act, which is their duty to do. And instead what they're doing is they're stalling, and they're allowing these things to happen to Canadians right now until the 7-day period ends. And then at the end, they can all look at themselves and go, oh, oops, yeah, we did vote it down. But the damage is already going to be done, right? So we need, honest to God, people with moral courage in this town. Moral courage. Absolute moral courage, because people here are displaying physical courage and a lot more moral courage than you're seeing up in Parliament at every party's level. Well, every political party in this country. I'm not impressed with any of them. But I will talk to the federal Liberal Party if they want to sit down and go through this plan and make it work. Laura, oh, sorry, I'm going to come back to you, Laura. Yeah.
Sorry. So just the public is asking a bunch of questions here, and one of them is, what do you see happening, or do you have any insight or opinion on what may happen this coming Monday?
A lot of grandstanding, a lot of political theater, but I'm very doubtful that any substance will come out of it, if you're referring to the
vote.
The vote. I think it'll just be the greatest show on earth with no results. That's Tom Morazzo's personal opinion, because you asked me, not the
Thank
comment.
you.
Laura Lynn, you had a question?
Thank you. To your point about the all federal parties, I'm reading here that Speaker Anthony Rota said, given these exceptional circumstances and following discussion with all recognized party leadership, the sitting today is canceled. More information will follow. And that's to do with the lack of debate that took place yesterday at a very crucial date. And he seems to be saying that all leaders agreed to this. Where was the Conservative Party leadership in a moment when we are on the street being attacked? Where was the fight? Where is one, as Rex Murphy says, where is one courageous hero in all of Parliament?
It's a great question, and I think all Canadians should be asking this question. Where the hell have they been for 2 years? Okay, honestly, where have they been?
All in the globalist pocket.
Well, I'm not going to speculate on that piece, but you know, it's pretty just at a Canadian level, just within our own borders. I'm absolutely disappointed and appalled that you know, the talking points in the last debate had nothing to do with why we're all here. Nothing. It was just political theater. And I think Canadians were just disgusted and frustrated and really disappointed by the conduct of these people. They don't get it. They just don't get it. And they don't care to, because from my perspective, they live inside the Twitterverse and they don't see what's really happening in people's lives. Do you know how many stories I have heard, which all of you probably have heard while you've been here on the ground, of the carnage that they have left in their trail for the last 2 years. You know when a 6-year-old says they want to kill themselves because they can't take it anymore? You know, the suicide rate is off the charts in this country right now. The mental health is off the chart. It is ridiculous. You know, and what do? They grandstand, they get nothing done, they lock us down, and then they give themselves raises while closing people's businesses. And by the way, for the citizens of Ottawa, we were begging the city to open up those businesses so we could support local business in this town. We wanted to shop in their businesses. We wanted to support it. We shoveled the sidewalks. We did the garbage collection. We provided first aid to people. We didn't do anything to this city. There was no damage. There was a little inconvenient noise. I'm sorry. But we're here fighting for all the people that actually hate us too. So, you tell me where the federal members of parliament have been. You tell me where all these provincial members of parliament have been. And you know what? I'm not buying this crap from all the provincial premiers. I see a bait and switch.
Yeah.
That's what I see, is a big bait and switch, okay? And what I've asked for several times is we want a charter challenge before the Supreme Court, or a charter reference, excuse me, and we also want an open public inquiry into the actions of the federal and provincial governments and the mainstream media. I stood at this podium yesterday and I outlined that entire plan. I read it right from the plan that we have submitted to all federal parties. And they did confirm that they received the plan. And yet, I tried all night to get a meeting with anybody. And here we are. I'm still standing at this podium waiting for them to come and talk. Andrew?
What would your comments be to mainstream media? I know myself and our team, we were on the front line all day yesterday. I didn't see a single act of aggression, truly,
Yep.
from the protesters, either than self-defense.
Yep.
But on CBC, on their live, they're doing 24-hour coverage. They're saying that protesters are being aggressive and aggressive towards horses as well. What are your comments there?
I'll just second that because I was also on the front lines yesterday.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I would honestly say I was there right at the line. And you know what I saw? I saw people trying to reason with the police. I was there when O Canada broke out. And when O Canada was done, I saw a woman get shot in the face with pepper spray from about 8-10 feet away. That's what I saw. Okay, we didn't show up with pepper spray. We showed up with
Love.
love, respect.
Yeah.
There was
I
great
can't-
music.
Yeah.
People were dancing.
Yeah.
That's what we showed up with. We didn't show up to fight physically. We showed up to assert our rights. They showed up with assault rifles, rubber bullets, tear gas, pepper spray, riot gear, snipers, UAVs taking our picture for facial recognition. That's what they showed up. You know, the full force of law enforcement was here to go against unarmed citizens in this country, in our nation's capital. And we've given them a way out. We've given them a plan. They work for us. We don't work for them. They can't seem to understand that. You know, this isn't some little hostage negotiation. I never asked for things. I asked for a conversation. I asked for them to listen. Here I am, standing at a podium again, with not one member of the federal government standing here talking to any of us. Complete failure. They should be ashamed, and I would say the mainstream media has a lot to account for. I watched it this morning. I couldn't stand it anymore. I had to mute it. I had to mute it because I couldn't stand the way they positioned the story. They create a narrative that we brought the violence. We brought the peace, we brought the hugs, they brought the violence.